Hey everyone, JT's Reborn here, and I thought I'd do something a little different on my channel for a video. I haven't done a video in a while, and, in the recent news for, this franchise, I thought I'd do something a little different, since I've covered a lot of, Godzilla content on my channel. So, just thought I'd do something different. So, Godzilla 2. This video is a Godzilla 2 update, a Skull Island update, and just the shared Kaiju cinematic universe. Whatever they're going to be calling this shared universe update. So let's go over the course of the beginning, see how this came about. So in 2014, Godzilla was released, and the movie was a success. So much so that immediately Legendary announced a sequel. Now, they didn't give a specific date, they just said, oh, we're going to do a sequel, and it's going to become a trilogy. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I like the idea of more Godzilla movies coming out every couple of years. Especially considering the Legendary Godzilla was actually well received by fans, and it was critically successful and financially successful. I enjoyed the movie. Did it have its problems? Of course. It had a little too much restraint in some areas, but I think they're going to fix that a bit with the sequel. So, that same year, in July 2014, Legendary announced that Gareth Edwards was coming back as director, and that they also acquired other Toho properties. They required Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah to appear in the sequel or sequels. So, one of the two sequels that they announced, these monsters are going to appear. Or they might appear in both. Who knows? We don't have any details right now on Godzilla 2. Also, that same day, they said, oh, we also have one more surprise for you. It was a teaser trailer, you see the jungle, and then it says Kong Skull Island. So, Legendary also announced that they're doing Kong Skull Island. When I heard this announcement, I'm like, oh my god, can it be? You wouldn't announce that right after the Godzilla panel unless you were going to do a King Kong vs. Godzilla movie. However, Kong Skull Island was at Universal and Godzilla was at Warner Brothers. Legendary is kind of like the bridge between two worlds. So it's just can they get it done right? They'd have to, there's a lot of factors that go into making a King Kong vs. Godzilla movie. First of all, you have to have the rights. And then second of all, you have to have Kong beefed up to Godzilla's size. Otherwise, this battle, it'll just last just like that. It'll be over fairly quickly. So, anyways, since that time, it was 2015, September of last year, Legendary Pictures shifted the development of Skull Island over to Warner Brothers. So, with that being said, it's just oh, they're now under the same studio. Okay, this means they're going to appear in the same film. I called it. I'm like, this is going to happen. Because also in my Godzilla Awakening prequel graphic novel review, I noticed there was some King Kong Easter eggs. I'm like, could that mean? I mean, they have both Legendaries doing both movies. I mean, let's see. Is it going to happen? Are we finally going to get this movie? And surely enough, in 2015, they announced that they're going to unite Godzilla and Kong in a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong, which is going to be released in 2020, and they're using Monarch as the means to do so. I'm like, perfect. This is exactly the way I think it should have been done. Because, in the Godzilla Awakening thing, it showed that Monarch had known about other types of monsters, and I think it would be perfect. This is the way you do it. You use them as sort of the Nick Fury that brings the Avengers together. Ironically, Samuel L. Jackson's in Kong Skull Island. So, Godzilla's coming out. Godzilla came out in 2014. Kong Skull Island, which was supposed to come out in 2016, in November of this year, got pushed back to March of 2017, which I'm like, if it gives them more time to work on it. That movie's being directed by, I'm looking at it right now, Jordan Vogt Roberts. So, yeah, that movie's going to be coming out next year, and it's set in the same universe, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what they have in store. I love King Kong. Not as much as I love Godzilla, but I still love King Kong. I have pretty much all the Kong movies, except the 70s one, but whatever. So anyways, they announced that they're going to be uniting these two franchises, and Godzilla vs. Kong will be the third movie in, the so-called trilogy. And they also announced that they'll be showing other types of monsters with other another shared universe type thing. There will be other movies, apparently. So, I'm curious to know what those other movies might be. So, anyways, Godzilla 2014, we're supposed to get Godzilla 2 in Godzilla 2 was supposed to come out in 2018. However, most recently, what was it, a few weeks ago or so, I can't remember the exact date. Let me take a look right here. Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, Warner Brothers announced that the official release date for Godzilla vs. Kong will be 2020, and that Godzilla 2 was being pushed back from June 2018 to March 22nd, 2019. This to me is very disappointing because I was just excited for this movie, and I had to wait another 5 years for another Godzilla movie. However, I actually don't have to wait because, in fact, this year, 2 years after Godzilla 2014, we're getting Godzilla Resurgence, which is a straight-up Toho movie. So, we're going to have two Godzilla series going on at the same time. This is insane. I mean, because, like, the difference between this time and last time, when Godzilla 98 came out, it was still financially successful, but fans and critics and audiences, everybody hated this movie. So Toho retaliated with Godzilla 2000. And when that movie came out, it wasn't exactly a huge hit here in the US, which made every Godzilla movie from that point onward straight to video releases. Some people were confused when that movie came out, like, is this a sequel? What's going on? And I'm afraid that it's going to happen again if they don't release this movie as smartly. My suggestion is release it, give it a limited release. Do what they did with the Attack on Titan movie. And just be like, this is just straight up Japanese. This has no affiliation with the other one. So just go see this and enjoy it. So fans like me, I'm looking forward to seeing it, obviously, because I love Godzilla and all those movies. But I'm just with the two series, it's just kind of strange. But also, in regards to Godzilla 2, Gareth Edwards has dropped out of the sequel. They delayed the movie 4 years so this guy could finish directing Star Wars Rogue One, and they waited for him, like, okay, we'll see when you get done. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then after Rogue One, he's just like, I don't want to do it. I want to work on smaller films. You know, two huge movies back-to-back has taken the life out of me. So they delayed it for nothing, in essence. Like, they spent all this time, they delayed it, and they're just like, oh, shit. Gareth Edwards, you know, his movie has some, I really enjoyed the movie, but it does have some things I didn't like. I don't like how much restraint they used. They held back a little too much, and there wasn't enough Godzilla action in the movie. For example, that airport scene, perfect build-up, everything. Like, the first hour, I'm like, okay, this is building up to Godzilla. This is perfectly fine. Then when they cut away from that scene, I'm like, no, gimme. I think they had, like, a mini battle there and still teased a bit more towards the big climactic battle towards the end. Would have been fine. A little more Godzilla action, because Godzilla, he's the main character. He's on the title of the movie. He's not in the movie very much, which is disappointing. I mean, it's not like he's in it too much to where, like, it becomes ridiculous, which I wouldn't care. You can have Godzilla the entire movie, and it would be fine by me. But, I mean, the restraint in some areas was good, and in some areas it was bad. But, you know, now that they were going to bring in Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah, I mean, it's going to be great. Hopefully. So, it almost looks like a remake of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. So, Gareth Edwards is out, which leaves Godzilla 2 open for a new director. Also, Legendary announced they were pushing Pacific Rim 2 to 2018. So, what does this mean? Who's going to direct Godzilla 2? Who's going to direct Godzilla vs. Kong? I have a few suggestions, and is Pacific Rim ever going to tie into this? I mean, it doesn't make sense for it to, like, you couldn't tie Pacific Rim in the same universe as this right now. The only way you could do it, and this is my way I thought of it, is say Pacific Rim 2 is to do like the parallel Earth type storyline. Say they go to the Kaiju dimension, they go back, they end up on an alternate Earth, which is the Godzilla universe. Do kind of like what DC does with the multiverse. Have different Earths, you know, like a parallel Earth. And they warp through a dimension, like the end of Pacific Rim 2, they're like, where the hell are we? Like, we have lost contact to everyone. And then the final shot is Gypsy Danger. They see a Kaiju signature, like, oh shit. And then it's Godzilla. And then, like, and also you can have King Kong in there, and, like, this big showdown's about to happen, and Gypsy Danger is just in the middle, like, oh shit. It would be fucking awesome. But I doubt that's going to happen. So, it's just it was my suggestion if you want to cross over this different movies. So, maybe they might. You never know. They've probably brainstormed every possible idea. So, Kong Skull Island's coming out next year. I'm looking forward to that. We have, you know, Shin Gojira, or Godzilla Resurgence, coming out this year, which is Toho's own thing. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. What is Godzilla 2 going to be like? We have an idea of Skull Island because it's kind of like a prequel. It's set in the 1970s. And we're also going to get, like, introduced to, like, different various monsters, apparently. Wouldn't it be cool to see like Rodan or Mothra show up in Kong Skull Island? What if this is the quote unquote monster island that Gareth Edwards wanted to see in like a Godzilla sequel? I don't know. It has me curious though. It has me very curious. Monarch's gonna be the thing that brings these franchises together. Godzilla 2, are Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah going to be appearing in it? Is it just going to be Mothra and Rodan? Is it just going to be Rodan and Godzilla fighting? Mothra, for the one certain is Mothra and Mai is going to appear in the sequel. Mothra for certain, maybe Rodan. King Ghidorah, like if one of them is not going to appear in that sequel, I think they'd save King Ghidorah for like Godzilla 3. So like maybe King Ghidorah is going to appear after all these movies. Maybe it's going to be like Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, and it's going to be Godzilla vs Kong, and then the two of them are fighting, and then they have to settle their differences to fight Doomsday or King Ghidorah in this case, and like you make Destroy All Monsters. Or maybe they do Godzilla vs Kong, and like they had in Godzilla 2 they had Mothra and Rodan, and then they had Pacific Rim 2, which bridges the gap between the Pacific Rim and the Godzilla universe, and they all come together in one movie, and then you have the Kaiju aliens, and then the super alien, which would be King Ghidorah, the king of all the Kaiju monsters. You have this big, huge, epic battle where monsters and Kaiju and robots are just punching the shit out of each other for like an hour, and that would be the last movie you could ever make. I mean, if that was like the grand finale to all movies, it'd be worth it. Because when you think about it, like superhero movies are starting to like, I mean, they're still very immensely popular, but like Marvel is building up to Infinity War, DC's moving up to Justice League, and it feels like after like those movies come to like an end, what's next? I mean, I guess the Kaiju movies are next, and then what? I mean, it's just like we live in a world which today about shared universes, which is the big thing, and I mean, it's not like it's an entirely new concept. Universal has done it since the 1940s, and Toho did it in like the 60s and the 70s, like with their different properties. It took Marvel to like awaken people to say, hey, this is what people have always wanted to see. Why aren't we doing it? And it's just like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. If you have one character in one movie and another character in a completely different movie, you bring them together, you make more money. Duh. So either way, I'm very excited for this. I'm just curious, who's going to direct Godzilla 2? I want it to be someone with talent. And then as far as Godzilla vs. Kong goes, that one, I don't know who will direct that one either. Will it be the guy who directed Skull Island? Will Godzilla 2 be directed by, can't be Gareth Edwards, who did a good job with the first movie, and he understood Godzilla. He used him as like an animal, like who's not necessarily a hero or a villain, just as an animal who fights based on instinct. That's what he used now. Like, that's good. That's the way you use Godzilla. But who's going to direct Godzilla 2? My suggestion would be Frank Darabont, because he actually did work on Godzilla 2014. He's the one who wrote that whole, like, beginning scene with Bryan Cranston and his wife. That very emotional scene. Like, this is, like, really, like, that opening scene, to me, is just emotionally gripping. Like, it's a very sad scene to watch. It's done great. So I think Frank Darabont would be a good choice to do Godzilla 2. And as far as Godzilla vs. Kong goes, this is a long shot, but Steven Spielberg. Let's make Steven Spielberg direct this movie. I think that would be pretty amazing, because he knows how to wow the audience. He knows just the right amount of restraint and suspense and awe and wonder. I think he'd be a good choice, but I doubt he'd do it. So, anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this video. What do you guys think about Godzilla 2, Kong Skull Island, the shared Kaiju cinematic universe? What do you want to see in it? Do you like my idea? Maybe after all those movies, they do Destroy All Monsters and just have, like, the end all of every movie? Or what if they get the rights? This would be a cool one. What if they got the rights to Gamera, and we have a Godzilla vs. Gamera movie? Just so much greatness to think about. We'll see where it turns up. I can't wait to see this movie regardless, and I can't wait. That's that. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later. Godzilla Resurgence comes out this year. When that comes out, I'll review it. I might do another list of the top 30 Godzilla movies leading up to it. I think that's what I might do. The movie's supposed to come out like 2 months from now. I think I can do it. Just top 30 Godzilla movies, just leading into that, because I already reviewed all the movies. There's no point in me to re-review them again. for like this new movie every time a new one comes out. So I think that'd be a fitting way to set up for the next movie. So yeah, that's that. If you guys have any suggestions of what you want to see in this channel or what you think is going to happen in the shared Kaiju cinematic universe, please let me know. I look forward to reading your comments. And yeah, that's about that. So thank you all for watching. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.